At the end of day ceremony. Where are we? Go ahead and introduce us. Donald just walked away from me.
We are at Fort Branch, and we're just outside of Princeton, in between Princeton and Evansville.
Thank you.
It's an honor for us to welcome you being here. It's a special thing for us. I'm glad you chose us to come visit. We're here to give you anything help we can give you, and hope you have a good meal to eat. And there's going to be a little ceremony here, but folks here in Fort Branch is just honored to have you all here. And God bless you all for what you do.
Is this working? Hey, thank you everybody for being here. What an amazing flag display out there, wasn't it? Oh my gosh, thank you for that. Whoever was responsible for that flag display was awesome out there.
Oh yeah, that comes from one of the vendors in the tri-state. What was it? It's who is it, Ken? Doink, tri-state Doink. Tri-state Doink put that up for you guys.
That was a beautiful sight to see across the highway. So thank you for that. So thank you, Commander, for hosting us here and allowing us to come to a place and just kind of rest. How you doing? Thank you. I know it means so much to us at the end of a long day, especially today, because today was pretty hot. I think they said the heat index was 110. So, we had some pretty warm runners today, although they probably didn't admit it. You guys didn't admit it to me. Did you guys admit it to yourselves? Yeah. Sure. You can sit down. Stand up here. I'll talk for a few minutes. I don't want you to get.
No one best pictures.
I don't want you to feel like you're obligated. But I feel like we're all family now because we've kind of been traveling together. A few new faces of those that I haven't seen before, but mostly faces I've seen in other parts of the country that have come back and to spend some time with us. So you probably have already heard what I have to say. I'll just reiterate a little bit of it. 10 years ago, on Memorial Day, the Honor and Remember organization was founded, and it was founded to bring public remembrance as a reminder to this nation that men and women are losing their lives, and we need to appreciate it. And that has really been the simplest of all messages. What happened after 9/11? 9/11 hit, and it was devastating. And on 9/12, you couldn't find an American flag to buy. I mean, every flag was bought, and they were everywhere, lining the streets and on our houses, on our cars, everywhere there was American flags. There was such a drought of American flags that the manufacturers couldn't even buy the fabric to make more flags. And so there was a lot going on there in terms of people couldn't get flags, and so that was 9/12. 3 months later, those flags were a little more faded. 12 months later, those flags were tattered. And the only ones who had the flags left were the ones who had their flags up before 9/11. America has a very short memory. And that's sad, because we all want to get on with our business, right? If it doesn't directly affect us, we just want to move on. And that's the same, honestly, with those who have given their lives. Those men and women who have given their lives, we rally around very quickly in the moment. And then the moment fades, and we go on about our business, and the family is left grieving and continuing to grieve for the rest of their lives. And families have said more than once, and corroborated this, that people are even saying to them, even amongst their own family members, hey, when are you going to get over this? This happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever that might be. And so this is the mindset of America. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing necessarily. I mean, it's certainly not positive. You know, because we all live under the freedoms given to us by these men and women. And we want to do what we want, don't we? You know, whatever is, you know, in front of us. But it's important to remember that men and women are enlisting and putting themselves in harm's way and losing their lives so that others don't have to, right? This small percentage that we've all heard about, you know, less than 1% are actually in the military, you know, less than 5% or 10%. I mean, I go as far as 10% to say are military minded. You know, whether you're a veteran or active duty or some relation to the military. That leaves a huge percentage of this country who doesn't really understand. They don't understand that others are giving their lives. And what I found is that even those that are serving or have served come from a line of those who have served. And so generations of families, for the most part, are protecting our country. Small percentage, while the rest of us enjoy the fruits of that protection. And so my contention is, and always has been, that if there are a few that are willing to send their husbands and wives and sons and daughters over, wherever that may be, if there's a few willing to do that, so that the rest of that 90% doesn't have to, what is the very least that we can do as a nation? I mean, very least we can do is say thank you, right? Thank you that you sent your son so that I didn't have to send my son. That is lost, you know, to the generation of the nation. And that is where we hope to bring awareness to at least the opportunity to be thankful. But how do you do that? And that's why Honor Remember was established, to leave a national symbol of remembrance in this country, so that if we educate enough people as to what it means and why it's important, maybe enough will be flying so that all of those families who have sacrificed will feel some sort of appreciation. And maybe one tiny piece of healing will be added to their grief. Remembrance is the most important thing that we can do, because we can't give their loved ones back. It's not possible. All of us would like to have one more minute, right? One more minute. That's why America's Run for the Fallen is so important. That's why establishing an event by which we can compile the names of every military service member who has lost their lives to protect this generation in the last 18 years, from October 12, 2000 forward. And we're still adding names, so we're still remembering. And to take those names and put them on a tribute trail across America, through small towns and big cities, in an opportunity that somebody might listen and realize that these are not statistics, that these are individuals who have given all, and each of their families have sacrificed everything. And if we can create this trail and call these names, then maybe eventually, by the time we end in Arlington Cemetery, we'll have made some kind of an impact. And hopefully that impact will not just be to get to Arlington, but it will continue as we infect in a positive way every stop that we make. 20,000 heroes divided by their dates of death that we have began running for in Fort Irwin, California, on April the 7th. We are now in our 12th state. We have run 84 days. We have run 3,785 miles.
3825.
3,725.
3825.
3,800, I'm sorry, and 25 miles. And I will tell you that out of the 20,000 names we have, and we're still adding, as I said, we have called out 15,318 names. 15,000. And we're in the year 2011. I said we're starting chronologically. We started in 00, and we're running in 2011. So from October 12th, 2000 to whatever date Kristen will tell us later, whatever date that is in 2011, we'll have run for those 15,000. And we're running for 20. So the majority of those deaths have occurred up until now, just so you know. Today, we ran 51 miles for, do we have a number? 149 euros today. It's one of our smaller days, thank God. 149 euros, 51 markers. And we continue day after day. We run about 50 miles a day. That is our average. And it really depends on really what cities we're running to and how much blank space there may be in between. But we have 7 more states to go. This is our last day in Indiana. Just so you know, we're running out of Indiana tomorrow and into Kentucky. I know you guys will miss us. 10 days we've been in Indiana, and it has been an amazing, amazing thrill for us. Every day we've had such an outpouring of support in every facet, with runners and with food and just with families coming out and being a part of this. I don't even know the number of families that we've had come out. You've got that? Is that our flag?
Yeah, that's the Gold Star flag.
Don't want you walking away with that. I'm going to show that. You can hold it, actually.
Okay.
The importance of what we're doing. The importance of what we're doing for the families is evident in this flag right here. Because this is a flag with just the name of a hero and their date of death, signed one time by every family who has found us on the route from somewhere across America and come to their destination to hear their loved one's name called out loud. That's how many families, and probably some have missed signing, how many families that we have had that have participated in coming out. And if this is important to them, if this is important enough for them to travel this great distance for 30 seconds of remembrance, how much more important should it be for us? For those families who have given everything. And if you're here and you haven't signed that flag, as a Gold Star family, please make sure that you do sign it before you leave tonight. One of the things that we do, I'm going to be quiet now, but one of the things that we do every night, it doesn't matter if we haven't been alone for a while now. It's been a while, hasn't it? There were times when we pulled up to abandoned gas stations and slept in the RVs. I mean, there has been those nights out in the middle of nowhere where there was no place to go and there wasn't anybody to talk to. And yet, as a group, the thing that we covet, and without fail we do, is we read the names of all those that we ran for that day. Now, how many of you know that we have a live feed and have watched us on that live feed? Okay, that's good. More and more hands are going up every night. For those of you who may not know, as we're running from marker to marker, especially down 41, tractor trailers are unrelentless. Do not care that we've got this huge caravan on the side of the road, and they're going by us at, lickety-split, whatever that miles an hour is out there. And when we stop to honor heroes, those names aren't always heard because of the traffic, the road noise. And so we're there, we hear them in our own group that is our mission. And on our live feed, it's very often that you can't hear those names. And I've had more than one mom email me and say, "Oh, you were right there." I didn't get to hear my son's name. And so what we do every night is we reread the names of those that we ran for that very reason of noise and obviously lack of large numbers, but also because we are in a quiet place and we can read those names in an atmosphere where they can be heard. And everyone who is here with us, and we are so grateful that we have those here with us, is that you're able to stand for those families. Not literally, but figuratively. You are here to listen to those names for those family members who aren't here with us. And so we record this on a live feed, just like we do every day, mile after mile, but we do it now quietly so that those families can hear those names being called. And we all can listen to them together. Now we're going to have some runners come up and read. You do not have to stand, be comfortable. But I do ask you this. First, silence your cell phones so that we are not interrupted in any way while we read.
Could I say one thing about
Yes, ma'am.
not to boast of that I lost my heart, but I want to commit it to almost both our family know. And I'm not one to speak out, but I want to say thank you for what you're doing. I have realized today what you have done was amazing. And I drove all the way to Colorado so that I could see and hear what you're doing. And to hear my son on the side of the road today meant so much to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Honored. The second thing is, please, as you're listening to these names, please listen as if they were your loved one. Because we're going to read a litany of names that may mean nothing to some of you and mean the world to one or two of you. But you're here listening to names that belong to families who cannot be with us. And I don't know, Commander, this may be the most names read for fallen heroes in this room at any one time. I don't know that. But this is an historic time. This isn't going to happen again next year. You guys are here at a moment in time, at the exact right place. And we are so appreciative of that. And I'm going to turn it over to Kristen. Dear, do we have others who are reading? You've got a whole bunch of them. Thank you, guys.
The dates that we ran for today were October 19th, October 20th through December 19th of 2011. Master Sergeant David Acosta, United States Air Force. Private Stacy Norman Willis, United States Army. Private First Class Stephen F. Shapiro, United States Army. Hospitalman Jacinth Liberty Ragland, United States Navy. Sergeant First Class Christopher B. Demidge, United States Army. Private First Class Christopher A. Horns, United States Army. Sergeant Paul A. Rivera, United States Army. First Lieutenant Ashley I. White, United States Army National Guard. Private First Class Michael Scott Hopeful, United States Army. Specialist Trent Lloyd Thorpe, United States Army. Captain Sean P.T. Charles, United States Army. Sergeant Edward S. Grace, United States Army National Guard. Lance Corporal Jordan S. Bestine, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant First Class Raina Whiteside, United States Army. Sergeant Christopher J. Jacobs, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Jason N. Barfield, United States Marine Corps.
First Sergeant David G. Robinson, United States Army. Sergeant Wesley Joel Durbin, Jr., United States Army. Sergeant John A. Lyons, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Daniel Rodriguez, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Stephen Joel Dunning, United States Marine Corps. Specialist Russell Allen Richardson, Jr., United States Army. Sergeant Domingo Sanchez, United States Army. Private First Class Keon Alexander Parkin, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Christopher R. Newman, United States Army. Lieutenant Colonel David E. Cabrera, United States Army. Sergeant James M. Derigo, United States Army. Sergeant Carlo F. Eugenio, United States Army National Guard. Master Chief Petty Officer James Allen Henley, United States Navy. Specialist Donald Jerome Jackson, United States Army. Staff Sergeant R.A.R. Colt Coolidge, United States Army. Corporal Dustin Lee Lundy, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer 3rd Class Jacob Christopher Miller, United States Navy. Specialist Christopher D. Gailey, United States Army National Guard. Private First Class Serena N. Butcher, United States Army National Guard. Sergeant Randall David Rusnak, United States Army. First Lieutenant Dustin D. Vincent, United States Army. Sergeant Ryan D. Sharp, United States Army. Lieutenant Commander Kenneth Christian Robb, United States Navy. Lance Corporal Nicholas A. Daniels, United States Marine Corps. Specialist Abbasalam Opioid Ogin, United States Army. Sergeant David L. Mertz, United States Army. Lieutenant Colonel Brian Wayne Robbins, United States Air Force. Lance Corporal Mario Arias Jr., United States Marine Corps. Sergeant First Class Patrick Leroy Sean Huntley, United States Army. Sergeant Matthew David Martin, United States Army. Captain Tushar Ramadas Timbe, United States Navy. Private First Class Cody R. Norris, United States Army. Private Jacob Alma Lawrence, United States Army. Corporal Theodore J. Ingermanson, United States Air National Guard.
Specialist Michael Stephen Croner, United States Army. Staff Sergeant David M. Biden, United States Army. Master Sergeant Clinton Allen Brown, United States Air Force. Petty Officer 2nd Class Jacob Emmanuel Erickson, United States Navy. Specialist Guillermo Morales, United States Army. Private First Class Theodore B. Rushing, United States Army. Specialist Calvin Matthew Peroda, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Michael Allen Fitzmier, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Jonathan B. McCain, United States Army. Senior Airman John Michael Hughes, United States Air Force. Staff Sergeant Tyler Paul Groshik, United States Air Force. Petty Officer 3rd Class Latinia Ejibaraza, United States Navy. Sergeant Kaylin Rashon Rhodes, United States Army. Specialist David Emmanuel Hickman, United States Army. Lieutenant Colonel Carolyn Law Venta Jones, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Travis David Starman, United States Air Force. Private William James Mipes, United States Army. Senior Airman Jesse Aaron Russell, United States Air Force. Sergeant Terrence Straught Higgins, United States Army. Specialist James R. Burnett Jr., United States Army. Sergeant Major Rudy Valdez Soto, United States Army. Sergeant Major Donnie Benson Woodruff, United States Army. Private Marinir Singh, United States Army. Private First Class Matthew C. Cole, United States Army. Specialist Sean M. Walsh, United States Army National Guard. Colonel Mark Kevin Davis, United States Army. Private First Class Adam E. Dubrino, United States Army. Tech Sergeant Fred Lewis Chaplin Jr., United States Air Force. Lance Corporal Joshua D. Corral, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Shane Scott Peach, United States Army. Private First Class Miles Heresy Wyman, United States Marine Corps. Specialist James J. Pizzal Jr., United States Army. Staff Sergeant Scott Charles Wood, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Leon Lamar Pack, United States Army.
Private Wesley Allen Singer, United States Army. Private Jackie L. Diner II, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Dennis R. Murray, United States Army. Corporal Zachary C. Riff, United States Marine Corps. Senior Airman Sean Michael Tyler, United States Air Force. Master Sergeant Elridge Lashon Jackson, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Francisco Maurice Bravo, United States Army. Petty Officer 1 Reagan Alessios Young, United States Navy. Specialist Philip Scott Bullens, United States Army. Sergeant Freddie Dwayne Grant, United States Army. Corporal Adam J. Bias, United States Marine Corps. Private First Class Terry Deshawn McLeod Chestnut, United States Army. Staff Sergeant John Wesley Oxending, United States Army. Private First Class Glenn Alexander Saunders, United States Army. First Sergeant Lakeisha Carol Gooding, United States Army. Sergeant First Class James Clay Stedman, United States Army. Master Chief Petty Officer Stephen D. Martin, United States Navy. Specialist Marcus John Samuelson, United States Army. Sergeant Alan Tokar Storora, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Vincent J. Bell, United States Marine Corps. Chief Petty Officer Michael Lee Bircher, United States Navy. Sergeant Jeffrey M. Kennedy, United States Army. Private First Class Michael David Webb, United States Army. Sergeant Ryan D. Sharp, United States Army. Sergeant Samuel Joe Lester, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Clark A. Corley Jr., United States Army. Specialist Thomas J. Mayberry, United States Army. Specialist Ryan M. Lindley, United States Army. Lieutenant Colonel Stephen Todd Drury, United States Air Force. Specialist Christopher Ruiz Mendoza, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Rodriguez Domain Johnson, United States Army. Specialist Marcus DeLone White, United States Army. Master Sergeant Thomas Allen Biddle, United States Army. Specialist Ruby Grant, United States Army.
Private Samuel Martin Mercurio, United States Army. Senior Airman Kaylin Gerard Hagedorn, United States Air Force. Specialist Jeffrey Craig Bobbin, United States Army. First Lieutenant Kyle Joseph Mason, United States Marine Corps. Command Sergeant Major John Feldman Gathers, United States Army. Cadet Stephen Eugene Despot Williams, United States Air Force.
And Corporal Christopher P.J. Levy, United States Marine Corps. Lieutenant Junior Grade Travis Michael Douglas, United States Navy. Sergeant Christopher L. Nunez, United States Army. Specialist Ronald H. Wardbrook Jr., United States Army. Sergeant Sean Allen Stark, United States Army. Airman First Class Cordellin Sherrod Albert, United States Air Force. Hospitalman Jose Lizardo Nicano, United States Navy.
Chief Warrant Officer 3, Sean Joseph Satfield, United States Army. Chief Warrant Officer 3, Frank Alonso Conti, United States Army. Chief Warrant Officer 2, Lucas Daniel Siegfried, United States Army. Captain Anne Marie Montgomery, United States Army. Lieutenant Sergeant George Lawrence Limon Jr., United States Marine Corps. Staff Sergeant Demetria Cola, United States Army. Private Jalfred D. Riquano, United States Army.
Sergeant Benjamin Victor Brand, United States Army. Master Sergeant Rodney Andre McClintock, United States Army. Sergeant John Ionis Barifas, United States Army. Major Samuel M. Griffith, United States Marine Corps. Specialist Joel Jeananne Hansen, United States Army. Sergeant George Edward Shenna, United States Army. Private First Class Dominic Moran Knopf, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Eric Ross Getz, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Robert Allen Cumberland, United States Marine Corps. Staff Sergeant Barry Orlando Wade, United States Army.
Hundred and 49 service members, over 51 unique states of death. You may be seated. Before I close this portion, we always give an opportunity for those in the room. We call this the most comprehensive fallen veteran tribute ever compiled. And we do that because we don't want to leave anyone unspoken. That is why we're even adding those days of dates of death that are even that are occurring now. And we will continue until we reach Arlington. But in this portion, as we read our names, we want to make sure that all names are read that may be known by those that are with us. So I want to give anyone in this room an opportunity that if you have a loved one who was not named on our list today, and you would like to name them, it doesn't matter what generation, it doesn't matter what conflict, it doesn't matter what cause of death. If they died while serving or as a result of serving, you have that opportunity now. Is there anyone that would like to call a name out loud and add to our tribute tonight? Yes, ma'am.
Staff Sergeant Justin Whitaker. My dad.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
These six have been come to know, being known as the Sapper Six. They roll from the same National Guard unit in Valparaiso. So 4 of them you'll be honoring tomorrow. They were killed in January of 2012. They're Staff Sergeant Jonathan Metzger, Sergeant Brian Lenhart, Specialist Robert Todris, Specialist Christopher Patterson, And 6 months later, the same unit lost 2 more men, Specialist Nicholas Taylor and Specialist Sergio Perez. And I think we'll be honoring all of them tomorrow.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Second Lieutenant Drew Anthony Hobbs died October 1st, 2017, Army National Guard.
Yes, sir. Nice and loud. Sorry. I know it's difficult to stand up and say a name. It's a powerful thing to speak a name out loud. Take it out of here. Speak it to all of us.
3 generations. My brother married Marconi, Vietnam, U.S. Marine. My father, Augustine Marconi Sr., World War II, Sergeant, U.S. Air Force Army. And our son, Gunny Justin Robert Martoni, EOD, died 2006 in Iraq, United States Marine.
Could you just bow our head? What? Okay.
Staff Sergeant Rodney Stewart, United States Army.
Thank you. We bow our heads for a moment of silence as we reflect on these names that we read, and those that were spoken, and those that are to come ahead. Amen. Thank you. We believe that this is one of the most important and historic events of our time. I know that we're going to get to Arlington Cemetery, and there's going to be a lot of folks that have said, oh my gosh, what did I miss? And we still have 40 days to go. There's still plenty of time to get this message across America that this is happening. This event has taken over 2 years to put together. 2 years to get to this point right here. And every day it's still a planning day. And the amount of significance that it has and should have on this nation goes beyond words. And so we need all the support we can to spread this word and get it out as far as wide as possible. We still do not have national attention. 84 days in, we still do not have national attention. This should be the most talked about story every day. Can you imagine the news just checking in on us every day? Who are they honoring at this moment? 10 hours a day, we are calling out the names of those that gave everything for our country. 10 hours a day, every 10 minutes. Any radio station, news station can check in at any moment of any day and go, who are they honoring now? Let's listen. But nobody is doing it. Nobody. These names are going out into the atmosphere. And this nation is deaf. And I don't know if it's just education, it's just lack of knowledge. I hope it's not happening. And so this message needs to be spoken. Wow. I challenge anybody in this room who knows anybody, or anybody watching, where's that mic? That camera?
It's over here.
Or anybody watching to help share this message. Why? Not for us, but for those names and those families who are out there crying for remembrance. I'd like to ask Don Finnegan to come up here. Don is our Indiana State Chapter Director, close friend, amazing man. He is the reason why Indiana is put together the way it is, and I'm so proud of the state and the way it's come out in support of this. We're going to do something very special for a family right now. But before we do that, I have 6 team members that have been traveling as a core team across this nation from the beginning and are going to be following it all the way to Arlington. And I'd like my core team to raise their hand. They are dedicated families to their life. Now they're in front of the camera, right? But there's a lot going on behind, as you can imagine, coordination of states. I'd like to recognize Don Gillespie. He's been our runner coordinator for the last 2 years, pulling runners together and putting them in places and trying to make things happen. And the hundreds of runners that we've had across the last 12 states. Thank you, Don. And then those that have been traveling with us in Indiana for the last several days or even just today, would you guys raise your hand and let's acknowledge you and your legs. Thank you so much. We cannot do it without those runners that jump in and give us fresh legs mile after mile. Kristen herself has run over 800 and, do you have a number? 873 miles herself. And we've had others that have come in and stayed with us for a time. And so I want to say it takes a village, but it takes probably hundreds of people to make this work. A nation. It's a nation to really make it work. But one of the things that we're able to do in the evenings, and we have been able to do every night in Indiana, thank you, Don, is to make a special presentation to a Gold Star family who may be here with us. But before we do that, I want to acknowledge those families. There are many definitions of a Gold Star family. And, the government has some, and organizations have others, and it perplexes me sometimes because pain and loss is universal. I mean, there's no greater loss than losing, one of your loved ones. And so if you have lost a loved one while serving, this is our definition. While serving in any cause of death, while serving or as a result of serving, would you please stand and let us honor you? Those families, please stand. Thank you. Would you honor them with your applause, please? I've already mentioned that the honor member flag was created to be a legacy left as a symbol of appreciation for all of us to fly. But as an organization, it's in our heart to make sure that every family is remembered individually by name. And that's what we're doing with this run, isn't it? We're remembering everyone individually by name. And tonight we have a special presentation that we'd like to make to one family, and I'm going to give Don the microphone.
Kathy, did you join us?
Let me explain this.
Oh, okay.
That's all right. Come on, Kathy.
Jump together.
That's all right. What I'm holding is a hand-sewn honor and remember flag. It's folded in a triangle, as you see, because it mirrors the American flag that was folded and handed to the family at the memorial service. It was folded reverently and respectfully to be encased in a shadow box as a gift from a grateful nation and a reminder of that loss. But the Honor Remember flag is folded this way only one time, not to be a reminder of the loss, but to be a celebration of their life and a gift of appreciation and thanks.
This Honor and Remember flag is presented with eternal gratitude and respect in memory of Lance Corporal Jordan S. Bastine. With this flag, we honor this patriot's unwavering dedication and remember their selfless sacrifice. By displaying this symbol collectively as a nation, we humbly recognize the enormity of your loss and respectfully say thank you.
Commander, I think we might be ready to eat.
I will say that. I just, because this really obviously is our last night. We had 11 actual days in Indiana. We had one rest day. So we had 10 running days. Came in Northwest Indiana last Wednesday, June 20th, up about an hour or so north of Lafayette. And ran all the way over to Fort Wayne, down through Muncie, Anderson, Indy, and come down through this Martinsville, Mooresville, and all the way down through here now to Princeton, and we'll head out to Evansville. 452 miles, 1,642 heroes will have their names read out loud from across this nation. And with that, as it goes over the river, across the bridge, I personally want to say thanks to all those that actually put forward to make this happen in this state. Because when you share all this stuff, you're really never sure how this is going to go out and how it's going to be received and how it's going to happen, as George has been talking about. But for the most part, I think we've had a pretty nice reception in the state of Indiana. Some outstanding towns, especially from the AMVETS. We have the VFW here, but I belong to the Sons of AMVETS because I'm not a veteran, even though both my sons serve. But we have Post 84 sons over here. I'm sure we have a lot because a lot of them are crossed over from different organizations. And the VFW, thank you so much for not only the reception, we could see you from a mile away. And Mike said, well, you won't miss it as you're coming down the road. So that's outstanding, man. I'd be able to do that. I just want to thank, we have an Indiana run for the fall of the last 3 years, Fort Wayne to Indianapolis. And I don't know, Donald called this an Indiana run on steroids. I go in 10 days. I admit it's pushed us a little bit to get this all off here. So with that, I mean, we have some of what I call our core runners that have been with us for several years. You guys put your hands up that have been with us as we run. We love you. I don't know, you know, what happens next year. We'll deal with that Sunday. No, we'll talk about that then. So, thank you, Commander.
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight. Thank you for having the opportunity to serve you people for what you're doing. It's a blessing to all of us. I want to ask God to bless everybody in the room, especially the Golden Star families. And thanks again. We got a good meal for you. And try to say a prayer. Bless us, O Lord, for these thy gifts, which you about to receive thy bounty through Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen.
Okay, is there any, like, protocol? Dig in.
Just dig in.
Just so you know, if anybody's interested in shirts or hats, we have a little table up here set up if you're interested in anything. It helps us move from city to city and place to place. And also, it's really cool to wear. Thank you, guys.
Put my hands in the way. See you tomorrow. We're Kentucky bound.
Thank you for participating, keeping people aware.